All right, this is a game two rule set three of TTAC's quarterfinals. This is the second match that's being played. The first one was Vid versus Tezuka, which I have not yet recorded video of, but thanks to the players, I do have screenshots of and will be recording soon. So we won't spoil the results of that, even though this will come out months after it. But this is the second match being played. Now, I missed the first game. I caught the very end of it. There was a Q formation. This was the closed game. They played the closed set first. They got a Q formation with cards in 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. And Seto, defending it, had cards in 4 and 5. He played a card in 1, stopping his card in 4 from potentially being comboed. Now, it turned out Blizzard did not have a combo there. But if he had, it would have so clearly comboed through other things, it made sense to block there. Though sometimes you just have to take a risk. So Seto goes 1, and Blizzard goes 9, saying, I have a card that goes in both 2 and 6. And if he does there, because Blizzard has the card in 7, and because there was no combo through 9, he wins the game. And it turns out he did have a card for both squares, Shu Yan. So Blizzard takes game 1. Now here we are in game 2. Same plus wall combo is always a little tricky. So got to remember there's no plus. I believe you have one level 2, 2 5s, and 2 8s, but that could be incorrect. I will check that on the side. And Seto is the red player, Blizzard is the blue. Seto went first and used his low level. Blizzard used a higher level card. So it must be 2 level 2s, 2 level 5s. And you can see Seto is trying to use his low levels as early as possible, probably with some significant double capture potential with his higher level cards. This makes a ton of sense from first turn's perspective in closed, right? You want to play cards that are easy to take on your last turn, because if you can sweep last turn, if you can take your cards easily, all you kind of have to do is take one of theirs, which I think Blizzard showed well in the last game, right? Out of the queue, meeting a move in 1 and 9 can just be a forced win on the spot, and it was, if you have captures everywhere. So first turn, especially in these split level sets, really wants a high level card to be able to sweep the endgame. On the other hand, on second turn, you can't quite play the same way, right? But you also don't have to, because you don't have to use your last low level card, right? You only have to use one of your low level cards, not two. So the rule set, by the way, is must use one level 8, 2 5s, and 2 4s. Sorry, 2 2s. So you can see Blizzard is doing the opposite. He's saying, I'm going to put out high facing numbers while saving my highest level card for later. You know, he's used his level 5s early. That means one of his last two moves has to be with one of his level 2s. There's no plus on, so it's very unlikely for him to have a same in either 6 or 8 with one of his level 2s. So I'm a little worried that he hasn't found a way to get a level 2 out of his hand. One thing I was thinking on this set is I think using 5/5s makes sense, and I think it will play well for Seto here. But I was thinking maybe you want like 2/5/1/7 as a level 2, just so you can use your level 2 as a challenging card, right? It's very hard if it's 5/5s to challenge a higher level card as well, right? If it's a 9/8/6/2 or something, that can take your 5/5 from three directions no matter which numbers you have facing out. Well, if you have a 7, there's no way the high level card can take you more than half the time. Um, and so I think there's some argument specifically for defending on second turn to having a high number on your level 2 so that you can use your level 2 usefully. We can see Seto goes in 2 and Blizzard goes in 3, which again makes a lot of sense. If Seto can't take this, this is very difficult for him, and plus doesn't exist, making it harder to take things. But it also means Blizzard is relying on a low level for his last turn. Are there cards with a 5 and a 6 going up and to the right that go in 8 on level 2? Does that exist? I think so. Does it exist on cards people actually run? I don't think so. 4/6/2/3 is still pretty useful here. It doesn't flip 5, but it does have the plus wall. Alright, so Seto goes in 7, sort of mirroring how Blizzard played last turn. And Blizzard says, I can't give you the combo, I have to block 6. And now we see if Seto has it. And Seto has 1 capture, not 2. So you can see that Seto going in 7 guaranteed at least a tie, but no more. Now, we can piece together a little of the game. I think I'm going to open another window just to make sure they're putting up another game, because it can be easy to miss. They played this one very quickly. Yes, they are putting up another game, and it will be open, which will be more fun for me to commentate on, especially because this game went so fast. But I also think they played very reasonably. Let's kind of talk it through again. We now know Seto's full hand. It was 5-5-2-3, 2-3-5-5, 2-6-7-6, and 6-7-6-3. It's easier to piece games together from the first turn perspective after, because you know all their cards, right? We cannot fully do it from Blizzard's perspective. I kind of don't believe he had 8. Right? 2-3-6-5 shows that you can have a 5-6, but there are only 2 6-5-3-2s on level 4. Level 2. One of them is roaming gold coin, which was not allowed and would not fit the requirements anyway. 2-3-6-5 indicates to me that 4-6-2-3 is very likely to have been his last card, kind of a level 2 that fits the opposite corner. Or maybe 6-4-3-2. 6-4-3-2. Because you'll notice his 2-3-6-5 has a plus wall against his 1-7-8-9. And 6-4-3-2 would have a plus wall the other way. I don't think that should matter that often, because you should usually be playing your level 8 after your level 2s, but that seems very plausible to me. I also forgot 1-7-8-9s existed. But even then, 2-5-1-7 can only be taken 2 ways by that card. Or sorry, cannot be taken on the 7. And also can only be taken 2 ways because the 1, but you can never rely on that. Okay. So Seto goes in 1. He says, I want to start the game where my 8-3-6-9 is facing, right? Very reasonable thing to do. And if I need to take back, my 2-3-5-5 actually takes back really poorly, but I have 2-6-7-6 to take back if needed. Blizzard goes in 9. Okay, I need to find a use for my other level 2. I want to get it out of my hand. You could play it there structurally soundly in any of 1, 5, or 7. But do you have coverage of the opponent's card? Yeah, you do. 8-3-6-9 is 8, and 6-7-6-3 has... 8-3-6-9 is 6, and 6-7-6-3 has 8. Can you add additional coverage there? Not really. There might be a case for... Yeah, the cards fit together a little clumsily there. Okay, 5 makes some sense to me there. So you go 5. Blizzard now goes, okay, I've put out 1 challenging number. I'm going to put out more challenging numbers. Plays 4, 7, 7, 2, and 4. Seto feels great about this because Seto has 7. And so Seto is now presumably considering 2, 6, or 7. With his 3 remaining cards, landing in 7 has the most impact, so sometimes you want to save that for later. That makes sense. The 8-3-6-9 is his most powerful card. That's the card that, fits best in 6. You probably want to save that. So playing 2, 6, 7, 6, and 2 makes, I think, a lot of sense. Let's make sure the game hasn't started yet. We have the beginning. Great. Let's switch over to that. All right. Blizzard has played in 1. So the rule set has a lot of stips, and this leads to fairly similar hands. It did not ban rares. Interesting. I did not consider rares here. I don't like the use of rares at all in general, except on very high levels, and I notice Blizzard has a significant up weakness. There's 3 2s facing up, which means cards like 6-3-3-6 are basically downward sweepers now. And he's made the game facing up. So if Seto, for instance, captured from 2, the game could quickly become very difficult. For instance, 4-1, 7-7, and 2. Say you do your recapture, 7-7, 2-2, and 4. And Seto plays 6-7, 4-3 in 7. Suddenly, Seto has this wall of these 2 cards in 4 and 7. He can attack the card in 2. The game's somewhat up-facing. that seems dangerous. Now he's picked up a different card. You can also set up in 5. You can set up in 3. These are all moves that will keep the game somewhat up facing and control space that's hard for them to respond. But I'm really skeptical of the starter. I like how Blizzard played the last game a lot. I always like when people spot the forced win and closed out of those structures. And I like that he, tried to, or the first game, I mean. I liked how he played the first game a lot. The second game, I also liked that he repeatedly played challenges. I'm not convinced it was right for him to use both the level 5s on his first 2 moves. That does mean he has to use a level 2 on one of his final turns. But I don't know what his last card was, and it might have made just a ton of sense. So I really like how Blizzard has played the close so far. But I think this hand's clumsy. So Seto picked up the 3266. We should check the rules. All relevant rules are in effect. So presumably he was thinking 3266 and 5. Because that gives sames in both 2 and 4. And important, but it does give 26264, right? And I think at this point we don't want to give Blizzard more ways to use his cards going up. He could also have been thinking 3266 and 3. That's probably better. Maybe not, because you don't actually have a capture in 4 right now. Which draws me to say you either capture in 2 now, or you set up 4. But I'm really focused on this whole Blizzard is weak going up thing. And so 4177 in 2 just strikes me as this really natural move. He does go for the setup in 5. I think I like 2 more, but this is choosing between advantages, right? I think both of these moves are, I am confident I can get a large advantage out of this. Now notice that 6 facing down of Blizzards was hard for Seto to take. But he doesn't have another 6 facing down, and everything else is really controllable. For instance, that 8 facing down, 6, 7, 4, 3, has covered in at least 2 squares, right? It's not that scary a number. Your one really big benefit here is 2626 is now really strong. My instinct in these positions is often just to play 2281 in one of 6, 8, or 9. Play a structurally sound move, like one that doesn't give the opponent lock-ins, while playing something with such weak numbers facing out. Again, the difference between first and second turn. First really wants these, soft cards that are easy to take. And 2281, I think, fundamentally is not as powerful as people think, but is really good at being garbagely easy to take. Now, if you look at 2281 and 9, Blizzard's hand is also not actually great going down anymore. And while 2626 gives additional coverage of that, you might get overly reliant on 2626. It might be, right now you have secondary coverage in both other squares, but it might be something where you end up just wishing you had 3 of them in your hand, and when you don't, it's trouble. He does it with 7722. He holds on to the 2281. Huh. Well, there's nothing Seto can just grab. There's no corner he can grab. He can take safety. There are moves like 6, 7, 4, 3, and 2 is safe, but not really a card you want to play. Because 6, 7, 4, 3 gives you such good coverage of 4. Just looking at some ideas. I kind of like the look of 6, 2, 6, 6, and 8. My case for 6, 2, 6, 6, and 8 is if you play either of your captures in 6, I can play 4, 1, 7, 7, and 3. and I am safe and grab the card in 6. Maybe this doesn't quite work, because bombs combo 2, 6, 2, 6, and 4 can combo through 5 to grab 6. All right, well, the other thing we should notice is you've given up all ups. So actually, the moves I should be looking at are like 6, 2, 6, 6, and 4. Just say you have no ups. I'm gonna take advantage. And if you, but that 7 facing up's kind of interesting. Not that interesting. Okay, 6, 2, 6, 6, and 4. If they play 2, 5, 7, 6, and 2, you can actually play 6, 3, 3, 6, and 3, and that's safe. As I pointed out earlier, that's a potential sweeper. And if they play 2, 6, 2, 6, and 2, which you can't take with 6, 3, 3, 6, and 3, you have 4, 1, 7, 7, and 3, which is now safe once 2, 6, 2, 6 is out of the hand. Again, 2, 6, 2, 6 is by far Blizzard's best card in a lot of these positions. And I think as soon as it's out of his hand, he doesn't have a ton to do. Yeah. So 6, 2, 6, 6, and 4 looks quite powerful to me. I don't see an obvious thing to do against it. You know, if you don't block 2, Seto can play 6, 7, 4, 3, and 2. That seems very pleasant. I would consider the main line of 6, 2, 6, 6, and 4 to be something like 2, 5, 7, 6 in 2, 4, 1, 7, 7 in 3. No, sorry. Against 2, 5, 7, 6, it's 6, 3, 3, 6 in 3. Say 2, 2, 8, 1 in 6, and then 4, 1, 7, 7 in 8 clinches the win. Because they never flipped 5 there. Something like that. I don't know if it's winning, but it looks close. The one problem is it's your best card for 8. So maybe the better defense for Blizzard is to go in 6 and keep side sweepers. That makes more sense. So 6, 2, 6, 6, and 4 probably met by 2, 2, 8, 1, and 6. And you have quite good side-to-side sweepers here. Yeah, you might have good enough side-to-side sweepers there. Say 6, 7, 4, 3, and 7. But then you just drop something in 8 and you have the top covered pretty well. Okay, I think the Magic Mirror in 6 idea holds there. Yeah, so I think my idea in 4 is not winning, but it is like decent pressure. Seto goes 3. Now, my instinct is always, no, you're on second turn. Why are we putting out weak numbers? Those are easy for the opponent to take. But we should note, this is not easy for the opponent to take. A 4 facing down is an incredibly powerful force here, as Blizzard really does lack ups. And he's kept his 4177. So there are some lines you can play out, say like Magic Mirror into Seto goes 6. And like, no, this should hold. And 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 7, 6, and 4 with 2, 6, 2, 6 as the side to side sweeper can kind of get stymied by 4, 1, 7, 7. But 4, 1, 7, 7 doesn't flip anything, so you hold there. And against the same 6, 2, 6, 6, and 8, you don't combo back, but I don't think you need to. Because I think it's just 6, 4 there, so you tie. Okay, so my instinct here would be Magic Mirror and 2. But maybe you have to play 2, 5, 7, 6, and 2. Because you can't flip 3 otherwise. So Magic Mirror in 2 is probably met in 4. Yeah, and you suffer a big combo there. So that was a terrible idea. But 2, 5, 7, 6, and 2 might work better. If Seto goes in 6, then Blizzard can go 2, 2, 8, 1, and 4. Which is safe. It's 5-5. Oh, he goes 7. He's saying I have the sweepers too. Okay. Well, the reason I was looking at 2 for Seto was because Blizzard does not have 6. So I think your goal as Seto here is just to be like play as if your opponent, you know, look at Blizzard's cards, right? 2626 has both cards have 2 captures and 4. Both cards, I'm counting captures including your own recaptures of your cards because in the X that's just as relevant as captures. One card is 3 captures and 2, one has 2. So Blizzard's cards are best for 2. Um, both cards have triple captures and 8, actually, so maybe you need to block 8. And both cards have, one card has 2 captures and one has 0 and 6. So 4 and 6 are Blizzard's worst squares, 2 and 8 are his best squares. So your Seto, you want to start removing his best squares. So 6-3-3-6 and 2 or 8 seems a very natural thing to do. Yeah, I think this is a tie, which I think is nicely handled from Blizzard. But the other thing I want to say about that move in 3 is, once again, Seto plays a move that surprises me with a weak corner, right? I have called him the master of the weak corner many times, and he often does things that are not my expected moves that involve weak corners. So I would expect to move in 2 or 8 here. 6-2-6-6 could also land an 8. Probably not 4-1-7-7, but no, 4-1-7-7 and 2 makes a lot of sense. Maybe that's the best way to do it, actually. But it was a nice touch from Blizzard in 7 that 2-5-7-6 has 8 now, really well. That was a nice touch. Because like a kind of normal finish for this game would be something like 4-1-7-7 and 2. Blizzard goes 2-6-2-6 and 4, recapturing 1. Seto goes something like 6-3-3-6 and 8, and Blizzard has 2-5-7-6 and 6 with just enough to hold the tie. And if Seto goes in 6, then 2-5-7-6 hits really well in 8, which it didn't look like it was going to do a turn ago. So, yeah, Seto has picked up 6-3-3-6, which I think makes sense as a card to use here. But I think this is just ties. I don't see anything. This was definitely a game where, in my opinion, Seto is the one pressing. But I really like Blizzard's move in 7. I'm really skeptical of his move in 9, but I didn't find something I thought was winning against it. Blizzard did a nice job of synergizing his cards such that his huge up weakness didn't hurt him. So Seto goes in 2, Blizzard plays the natural response in 4. This is looking very similar to our intended line. Seto goes in 8. This is kind of cute. He's doing it the way, not where he flips the most stuff, but where there's just no captures for Blizzard. I always find it interesting when people choosing between ties, like, say there's a tie where you can't be taken, and another tie where you flip a bunch of stuff and they flip a bunch of stuff back and it lands at a tie. And my instinct has always been closer to the Seto version, where they don't get to do any flips. And I'm not sure it's so much a you don't get to flip stuff as a there's no way I can miscount this because not many flips happen. Now, I think Seto is probably a better calculator than me, so I'm not. Maybe he is less kind of feeling that, or a more confident calculator, maybe and better, but a more confident calculator where just like he sees it and he like knows, and I see it and I'm worried and I want to double check it. So, yeah, Maybe better and more confident is the right way to put it. So they tie this game. This was a curious one. I really wonder if on move 4, Seto had a better way to play it. And I also, though I didn't find one. It's just that was a spot that looked promising, but I couldn't quite make any moves click. Um, and I liked a different move 2, and presumably I would have started different than Blizzard, though hard to complain now. I think he kept it together nicely. And he found a nice use for Magic Mirror. I would have expected Magic Mirror to land in 9, but he found a way to use it as a weak corner later. Part of the reason, though, that I also would have played a different move 4 than Seto is right when you go in a corner, you gave Blizzard another chance to use the 2281. Well, if you kind of attack something immediately, you can play more forcingly and it can become harder to find a spot to use the Magic Mirror. But on the other hand, my more forcing idea was to go in 4, and I didn't find a refutation of Magic Mirror in 6. So, um, you know, I think my reasoning makes some sense, but in the specific of the game, I didn't find a way to take advantage of it, and so I can't really complain about different moves. We're just throwing out thoughts here. I think this was a good game. I'm curious what the solver will say. So Blizzard leads 1-0. One more win for Blizzard ends the series. There is still the open-closed game, which is, means there's a chance Seto goes out here without open. You quite often see when the best players are upset that they go out without open. But I think Blizzard is a really good player. I should say this. He doesn't play a lot anymore, but when he plays, I always think he plays well. I'm sure there are games I think he plays badly, but in general, any kind of run of games, I think, because there are games we all play badly, but I think any run of games, he is likely to play pretty well. I don't know. I don't think I. Or I think I. Let's look at the bracket. To get here, who have they beaten for this quarterfinal match? Seto beat Dradaz in round 1 and Sir Smokes in round 2. Sir Smokes has been really good at giving Seto complex matchups, and Seto just kind of smoked him this time. So, nicely done. And Blizzard beat Sachi in round 1. After losing the Open, Sachi did really nice to win the Open there. And then Zernitra in round 2. Yeah. In my bracket, I think I had 7 of the 8 quarterfinalists correct, including these 2. That's not too important. I wonder if they'll play again. I think I'll maybe should have checked view games first to see if they were in watch games. I'm gonna pause the recording, and you know what? We'll come back with a whole new video if they continue. But very quick play so far, and I think in the games we saw, obviously we missed the win because I'm amazing at doing this and timing it. I think we saw good play. I think they played sensibly. And I think adapting to these kind of split level rule sets is difficult. And I like how, for instance, both of them handled the open closed game, with Seto looking to use his low level cards to have easy stuff to take later. And also notice he used 2676 and 6763. His level 5s were very much, I want cards that can sweep, right? I want cards that have tri-directional power, not two-directional power, that can really clean up my low-level cards, right? I have a bunch of 5s. My 676s are really good at taking a whole bunch of 5s. And Blizzard, on the other hand, went, I am second turn, I need to create challenges and put out 7s and 6s and stuff that would be difficult for Seto to take. And, tried to punish him there. Good play by both players. I'm very curious when I check with the solver. Maybe we should head over to the solver. Because I'm curious what was, if there was a way to break through there. It felt to me close. And if I had to bet, I would bet, I guess I'll bet against there being a win, but I really don't know. So let's pop this open. We have the cards. First turn hand, 6-6-6-3, 7-7-2-2, 2-2-8-1. I'm listing them in the order played, 2-6-2-6, 2-5-7-6. And the second turn player hand was 3-6-6-2, 6-7-4-3, 6-3-3-6, 4-1-7-7, 6-2-6-6. We'll close that. We'll see if there's a game happening. My current bet is there is not, but I'm glad I caught some of this. I expected this to be a series I was likely to miss, and pleased to catch a little of it, even if we missed all decisive action. Right. All right. So let's head over here. I've got to resize that. Sorry about that. Center it. All right, it's close enough. And we had 6-6-6-3 here, 3-2-6-6 and 5, and 7-7-2-2 and 9. I thought was the critical position. There's no wins. There's 3 losses, 21 ties, which suggests, big advantage here, but no wins. So I wanted 6-2-6-6 and 4, which concedes 3 ties. That's not massive pressure. Seto played 6-7-4-3 and 3, also 3 ties. So there may well have been something here that was trickier, but not obvious. 3 ties. What else did I consider? Maybe I considered here. I want to bet on 3 ties? This one loses. All right, this is a terrible idea. What does it lose to? It gives 2-2-8-1 a use. And this is covered. I missed this was covered when I looked at this here and saw it was covered in another line later, but yeah. Okay, that was a terrible idea. All right, so it doesn't look like there was an obvious way to put a ton of pressure here. I'm also curious if this was promising as compared to what he played, but it seems like Blizzard defended it well. It's 3-6-6-2 here, 7-7-2-2 here. Oh, they're playing again. So we will head over there in a moment. Oh, they're well into it. Okay, but we learned what we needed to know. So we're going to get rid of the solver, head back over, and try to figure out what's happening. They are playing the random game. Notice there is... Ooh. They got the rule set wrong. It's not same plus wall. This might be why they're speed playing. No, I don't think so. I think we'd have seen a move by then. I think they have put the rule set in wrong, and this game should not count. But let's check to make sure. I think this is no plus. Interesting to go with the 9-9-1-1. That card is not a great sweeper. I think we can safely assume Seto has gone with the 5-5 pair again. And the game went something like 2-5-5-3 and 9, 4-1-7-7 and 3, 5-3-2-5 and 6. Because if Seto had started in 6, then Blizzard's move in 3 would have flipped it, and 9 would not have flipped back. So we can correctly figure out the move order here. I should have links to prior games open, or at least the prior open game. Ooh, my voice just went. All right. Sorry about that. Let's check the rules, because I do think this is wrong. Same plus wall combo. Yeah. Okay, well. We'll see what happens, but not the right rules. Hmm. 5, 3, 2, 5, and 6. 6, 3, 7, 6 is weirdly clunky because it's the card Seto like could land in 6 with, but if you play something like 5, 3, 2, 5, and 7 instead of 6, it doesn't have both 6 and 8, nor does it have both 6 and 2. So you have the square, but you never have paired squares. It's kind of horrible anywhere else on the board. So if the opponent avoids going in 6, say 6 and 2, say they kind of leave the 6-2 pair open, and you leave the 6-2 pair open, right? You don't want to go in 6 because they'll plus wall in 2 and they'll combo through 3 to hit you in 6, at least with 6-3-7-6, 6-3-6-7. And you don't want to go in 2 because that just gives them 6. That's obviously a high value square. And you don't want to use 6-3-6-7 in your hand because then they just go in 2 and you can never go in 6. So you kind of hold on to it hoping for the end game, and then just on the final turn they go 6 and your 6-3-6-7 lands somewhere else, then it's kind of horrible everywhere else. So I understand wanting to block 6 immediately. Should start putting the moves into my database, but this L, like from a kind of fundamental perspective, is should be pleasant for Blizzard, except that he does not have 5. And his cards are really clunky. So from a general perspective, what has Blizzard done? He's used a low level and a mid level, he's on second turn, he has an L where he is locked in the first card and can't be comboed. That's all great. In the specifics of the position, the 7147 looks like a really weak card. The 9911 is very clumsy. And so the specifics seem really difficult to me, but the general seems very favorable. That's my very quick analysis. And let's head over to input in games. We're in the quarterfinals. We had one open-close game. I think they're just speed playing this one because, yeah, I think they've realized. Okay, so maybe this one will count, but I don't think so. I don't think so. For instance, the final captures relied on a plus, and plus is not a rule. So this I will not be putting in the database. This one I will, and I think was a really interesting game where Blizzard overcame having trouble going up quite impressively. So that was 6-6-3-1 and 1, 3-6-6-2 and 5, 7-7-2-2 and 9, and then 6-7-4-3 and 3. Harder for me to remember because it's not the kind of move I was looking at. 2-2-8-1 and 7, 6-3-3-6 and 2, 2-6-2-6 and 4, 4-1-7-7 and 8, 2-5-7-6 and 6, and 6-2-6-6 remaining. Interestingly, the other game we have played on this rule set between Vid and Tezuka also had 6-2-6-6 as the remaining card. I'm going to quickly pop open the Discord in another window because I assume this game will not count, but I want, if it has been counted, then the series is tied 1-1. But I think it is safe to assume it will not be counted. But I shouldn't leave you without giving you this important update on something that happened months ago when this video goes up. So let's check that, then we'll end the video. If they keep playing, I'll start a new recording. But I'm hoping to go eat. So, torn between things. I would like to catch the game, but I also could use a meal. My bet is this game will not have been posted. My bet is no ties will have been posted. Which is a shame, because ties are very interesting. I don't need to see just, decisive games. I think, the 5-game series is more interesting than the 1-game series. On average. Right, this is deciding not to load. Let's close some windows. Hey, it loaded. Why did it load like 3 days ago? Okay. It has not been uploaded with the last result. So I think we'll end the video here. Hopefully you enjoyed these games. I thought they were pretty interesting. It's the first time I've caught games in a bit. I haven't been very good at catching TTAC, but I'm really hoping to catch as much as I can from the final 8. And I think this was interesting, kind of highlighted differences between first and second turn, specifically on these split level rule sets, and an open game of can you take advantage of an up weakness, and Seto finding a kind of creative way to do so in 3, but Blizzard keeping everything together by getting Magic Mirror out of his hand at the right moment. And kind of the critical lines, like a move I was looking at an 8, which turned out to be like the worst move in the position, and like the only way to lose the position, because I am, super good at losing, apparently. But like, a move that appealed to me was in fact a way to lose this position that was very favorable, I think is interesting. And maybe something I need to work on. But the reason it was trouble was because it gave a good use to Magic Mirror. And because I missed how powerful sweepers were on top. Which are things I've done in the past before, made mistakes of. And in the line I was looking at before, it took me a while to find Magic Mirror as the response. So, yeah, interesting games. And hopefully next time I catch these, I calculate a little better, but, what you gonna do? Juice.